Alright guys, it's just a second here from tutorialscamp.com. Today so we are still on the Java programming tutorials, right? Today let us talk about data types. We are actually moving ahead, and we need to start programming and do basic things. Let's talk about data types in Java, right? So one thing you should know is that when you are defining variables, let's say if in case you are from word development background in JavaScript, right, you know of JavaScript and PHP and those stuff, right? When you are defining variables in JavaScript, you normally do something like this. You do something like you use the var keyword to do something like this, var, and then your variable name like age, and then you assign something like 9 to it, right? This is what you do. Okay, you do something like this, and then you assign this to it, right? But this is what you normally do in JavaScript, right? And even in PHP, this is what these guys do. They do something like this, right? That's what they do. This is the JavaScript one. Let me explain. This kind of language, programming language, JavaScript and PHP, those are called dynamically typed programming languages or scripting languages, right? So this var keyword that you see here, right, when you append it to any variable, that key can easily identify what type of data that has been assigned to this, right? So this var keyword, when doing your Java, when you execute your JavaScript application, this var keyword will know that this guy here is an integer, right? And if you add it, if you assign a string to it too, right, it will know that this var will be able to detect that this value that has been assigned to this age here is what? Is a string, right? But in Java we don't do that. That's because Java is a statically type programming language, right? The kind of languages that we use the var keyword and the PHP we use the $, those are called dynamically typed programming language. And the difference is that in statically programming language, when you assign a value to, when you declare a variable, each data type cannot be what? Changed, right? You know, in JavaScript, if I assign this guy to here, right, and I give a string like this, and later, right, I do something like, I later come here, I want to assign, I can use the same age and then do something like a 9, right? The same age here inside the program, I can assign 9 to it, and JavaScript will not compare. It will not, the JavaScript compiler will not say anything. Okay, it will execute this thing successfully. But in Java, this thing here will throw an error. Why? Because Java is a statically type. It will tell you that, hey, the variable that was declared here is a string variable, and you assign a 9 to string, that will not work, right? So how are things done in Java, right? The way we do that is that we use something called data types, right? That's what we are talking about. Data types. Okay, let me zoom in so that you guys can see. We call it data types. And now, what are data types, right? So data types, they represent the kind of data that we want to what? Assign to a variable or a method, right? So data types, or what data types mean, represent is this var keyword here, right? That's what represents the data type of this guy right here, right? But this is a dynamical data type, right? So in Java, what we do is that inside of age we actually type something like string, right? We will do something like string, right? And then when the compiler will say that, hey, this guy right here, age right here, it is abstraction what? A string value. Okay, but later on, if you go ahead and then do something like this, the same thing, if you go ahead and then assign 9 to 8 later on in your application, this will give you an error. it will tell you that the variable age cannot be what assign a value of what int type, because it is defined as what a string type here. Okay, so that's what you should know when you assign a value. When you declare data type of particular variable, you can't change its data type again. Okay, it's not like that in JavaScript you can do, but Java you cannot do, right? So that's how it is. You use data types to actually define the kind of data that we want to store in the application memory, right? So let me give you a graphical overview of it so that you actually get what I mean. So imagine I have this my orange here. Let me make it small, and then I have some, okay, not this one, orange, and then okay, I think I have some water on my distance. I want to give you a graphical overview of it so that you guys can find it easy to understand this, right? So that it will be easy for you to. Okay, there's no water on my distance, right? Alright, so imagine I have this grass here and this basket here. Right, imagine I have this cup here and this basket here. Now if let's say I want to go and then get some water and drink, will I take this basket and then go and use it to fetch water and come and drink? No. Why? Because there's holes in this thing, and then so this thing cannot what you cannot put water into this thing. It will go down, it will go underneath, it will overflow it, right? Or it will go underneath. But this is the right what this is the what you should go with it, right? If you want to get water, this is the cup that can what hold water into it, right? So now this represents what the data type. Okay, so these are the data types. So this actually means this basket here cannot hold water inside it. Okay, so in Java, where is the file that what I just declared? Alright, I've deleted it. So right, so it means this guy here cannot hold water, but this is the guy that can hold water. Okay, but this guy, the data type that this guy can hold is like orange and stuff, right? So let's say the data type of this guy will be orange, and then the data type of this cup here is water, right? You cannot put 20 oranges in this cup here, okay, but 20 oranges can go inside this basket here, right? Just have a look at this thing. I need to take my time on this, because if you don't get the concept right, you think Java is hard, but it's easy, right? Everything is based on data types and how we do it. Okay, I have some data I want to show you guys. Okay, okay, there we go. Okay, you see those cup that I show you, these guys that I show you, right? The data that they can hold is what this basket, it can hold only what oranges, right? You cannot pour water into this basket, right? You see, so it is holding oranges here, and you see you cannot put these oranges inside this cup here. It will not go, it is too small for it, right? So the right data type of this basket here is what orange, right? If you put water into this thing, it will fall down. It's not the right data type of it. Okay, very basic, you should understand it. And this grass here, the right data type of it is what? Water. If you put these oranges, these small oranges is inside this thing, it will not go. It can't even hold one of it because this cap, there's no much space in it. It's too small, right? That's basic how it is. That's the whole concept behind what? Data types, right? So how do we actually define data types in Java? Okay, how do we actually define data types in Java? Well, now remember, in Java, right, there are two types of data types. Basically, there are primitive and non-primitive. So this will be the first one. And this will be the second. Sorry. So that's it. We have primitive and then what? Non-primitive data types in Java. Okay, that's the whole thing that I need to understand. Now let me explain what these tools are. So you should know these are all the basic the only data types we have in Java. Okay, now primitive data types, they are the data types that comes with what? The Java the Java syntax, and then it comes with Java already, right? But non-primitive data types, they are data types that you the programmer what defined yourselves. Okay, mostly or they are mostly like object interfaces and classes. They are all data types, right? And then primitive data types, just like string integer, and then boolean and long double. Those are the data types that Java comes with. Okay, remember, string is not even primitive data type. It's not considered as primitive data type. It's considered as non-primitive data type. Okay, you should know that. So how do we actually use data types? The way we use data type is like this. Let's say if we want to define a variable, what we use that, we say something like, if we want to define a variable that will hold an age, we do something like int, right? So the data type comes first. The data type will represent that this, then the variable name, which is age, and then the value that I want to assign to it, let's say 1, right? So this variable here, which is the age, I don't know if you guys can see. Oh, sorry, I just messed everything up. Okay, so this variable right here, age variable right here, right, the data type that it is holding is what? Integer, right? Just like what I showed in the graphical overview of it here. Where is my oranges and where is my stuff? Oh, they are gone. Okay, so it is here, and I'll show you. So look at this, right? I want you guys to understand it. The data type is very easy, right? Don't find it difficult as if it's something big. Okay, so you can see, I need to increase this guy so you can see it well. So you can see this age integer right here, the age here, right? The data type of it is what? Integer, right? Which is, and he's having a value of what? 1. And you see this cap here, right? The data type of it is what? Water, right? And it is holding, the only value that it can hold is what? Water, right? And this age here, it is have an integer of int, it has a data type of int, and the only value that it can hold is what? An integer value, right? So that's it. Very, very basic. You need to understand. It's not difficult, right? And also, if you want to define a method, just like the way we do it, right, with variables, you do something like you define the data type of the variable. Is either is if the variable is going to return something, then you give it the kind of data type that a method is going to return. You do something like int, and then the method name, get name, right, and then bring your curly braces, then we are good to go. This program is hard to use, right? So this how it is, right? So if you want to define a method, you will bring the data type of the method. If the method is going to return something, then you bring the return type of the method, which is going to be an integer, and then the name of your what? Of your method. But here, this method need to return something, okay? So you can actually do something like return 1 here, right? If you return a string like hi, this is wrong, right? And it will throw you an error. It will throw you an error, right? Because the return type you define here is what? It's an integer, not a string, right? So that's how we actually, how data type is defined, right? And the other type of data type is primitive, right? That's a class value data type and the integer data types. You will see those things when we start coding, right? How we will define our own data types and how we will do it, right? So that is just an overview of data types, right? In the next video, I will show you what is variables and how they are defined. I'll show you some here, but that's not the whole video about it. So I'll show you exactly what is variables and how they are defined, right? So what you should know is that data type represents the value of data, the value of data that a variable a variable will store, or the type of data to store in what? A memory, right? So it's nothing complicated. Just see it as the format of data that we have. We have different kinds of data that we can store, right? We in JSON we store data in key value pairs. We have integer, string, right? So data types, this give us the opportunity to specify which kind of data we want to store in our application memory. That's the whole idea behind data type. It's nothing hard, okay? So if you have that's the end of the video. So guys, if you do understand it, let me know in the comment section below. And also, if you like this video, give me a hi in there. And then if you are new here, to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell button so that you'll be the first person to see the next video, okay? Thanks you guys for watching, and then have a very nice day. See you. Bye bye.